Greetings viewer, me llamo es Eric the Car Guy, also known as ETCG1 on this here channel. Let's talk about this Subaru. There's been a lot of discussion since I posted the video last week about what to do with the Subaru. And I've done a lot of thinking since then. In fact, I've bounced around through a ton of ideas. I've read a lot of your comments. I've read all of your comments actually. I've I've even gotten emails about this. There's a lot of people with a lot of opinions about the fate of this here Subaru and the fate of the show going forward, you know, if you think about it. And the conclusion that I've come to is this Subaru, this 97 Legacy, is really not the car to make go fast. And more than just a practical standpoint. In fact, the only reason why I even entertained the idea was basically to make videos for you. I really didn't have much of an interest, if any interest at all, in making this car into like a super STI, Subaru wagon sleeper, whatever you want to call it. The only reason why I was entertaining it was because, like I said, you know, this would make for some great video. You are obviously really interested in those types of videos from me, and I hear you, and I wish to make those videos going forward. In addition, Mighty Car Mods, let's face it, they have an awesome show. I watch it, I love it. If you haven't seen it, just check them out. In fact, watch Turbos and Temples. That's like one of the really good ones. But aside from all that, I just think this would not be the project for me for a lot of those reasons, and mainly because, you know, it's when you go to re-engineer something like this, it's really like plumbing a lot of times. You start at the sink, you end at the street. So you start with the engine. Well, really, I wouldn't start with the engine. I would start with the brakes and the suspension and tires is probably where I would start. And then go from there. And that's what I'm getting at, is there's so many things. And then somebody also suggested that if I were to do some kind of STI conversion, I'd have to change the rear differential also because the gear ratios are different. So here we go. You know, it's one of those things where you start out thinking, I'm just going to drop an engine and transmission in this. It's not always the case. And I'm actually trying to help you with this. I'm trying to get you to look at your project as, you know, from a practical standpoint, because I'm the guy that fresh out of high school, I wanted to build up my 1972 Galaxy 500 with a 351 Windsor in it. And I got to tell you, talk about a lost cause for making a car go fast. Eventually I did. Eventually I dropped the 429 into the later car that I had. I've had about 3 of those cars. I dropped that 429 in, I had a big block with a cam and everything else, and that was great. That really did give it some tire munch and power. However, it's so big and heavy that, you know, it didn't take a corner for anything, not to mention the suspension was shot. But I did upgrade all the brakes on that vehicle. And I did invest a lot of time and effort and money into making that car into what it was, and I ended up selling it for I think it was like 900 bucks. Reason being, you know, I just hadn't done anything with it, you know. The kids came along and everything else, and it was not a project that got any income. I no longer had the disposable income to invest into it, and that was that. So there it was several years later with a car that I wasn't doing anything with because, like I said, it was great in a straight line, but the minute you tried to steer it wasn't so great. Plus it didn't have an interior, didn't have a headliner. I'd learned a lot through the experience though. I will give it this. I mean, you do learn a lot when you go to modify something like that. You learn a lot from other people because you're asking questions, and there is a lot to be gained from that type of video and that type of practice. So I'm not going to say don't do what you're doing. Don't take your Geo Metro and drop a V8 into it, something like that. But all I'm saying is that it involves a lot more than you think. And at least for me and where I'm going to go with the show, I was going to do this thing where I put out a poll and find out what the interest was and all that. But I'm just gonna hang back from that because, like I said, this is not the car to do this with. I would rather focus my efforts on actually trying to find that some sort of Volkswagen TDI thing. There's a lot of interest there, a whole lot of interest there. Plus, you know, I'm reaching the end of what I can do with this Subaru. There's probably a timing belt video in there. There may be some transmission work also. And who knows, I might just pull the engine with the transmission and do something there. Maybe I'll do something along those lines instead. But right now, I'll redirect my focus to getting my van done, getting that back on the road. That way I can do whatever I want with the Subaru. Also, you know, it'll keep a little bit of money in my pocket. And thanks to everyone who made offers to finance that. I really appreciate that. And just to go on the donation thing, everybody was like, you know, you need a PayPal donation, thing like that. Just an FYI, for those of you out there that might be into this kind of thing and might want to start a donation through PayPal, know that PayPal will freeze your account if they find out that you're taking donations and you're not a nonprofit organization. I used to have a donate button on my website a long time ago until I found this out, and once I did, I pulled it because I wouldn't want to get my income frozen. That would not be cool at all. So that's the reason why that's not there. Kickstarter was a great idea, once again, and then maybe that'll come up for a future project or something. But you know, I'll save my pennies. I'll get it together, and in the meantime, I will continue to make the best repair videos I possibly can for you. But as far as hot rodding the Subaru is concerned, it's just not practical, and even with doing it on the show, I still can't justify it because that's a lot of money, time, and effort into something that I don't really think I'll have like some decent results from. And aside from that, if I were to do this Subaru, a lot of people have also made the suggestion of, instead of going the route of making it go fast and guzzle gas, why not go the other direction, since that's basically what this car is set out to do, and see if I can make it like some kind of high mileage whatever, like maybe explore some ways of increasing the mileage on this Subaru. That might be the way to go with this car. In fact, I think it would be the way to go with this car. So I think I'll finish tinkering with it and get it sorted mechanically, get rid of that hesitation on acceleration, which I still have, which I still believe to be a problem inside the transmission. Maybe there's a transmission rebuild in there somewhere. Although many of you really don't like the automatic, you just want to dump it for a standard. And I don't blame you for that, but once again, you get into stuff like that, you're modifying it from stock. There's wiring harnesses and things like that, and not everything is a straight up bolt-on proposition. And it often isn't a straight up bolt-on proposition, even if you are using the quote-unquote correct parts. So just keep that stuff in mind. But like I said, go ahead, do your projects. I'm not saying don't you do your projects, but you don't make a slow car fast. Take a fast car and make it faster if you really want to go fast. If you really love your slow car and you want to make it cool, make it cool. It's your car. Enjoy it. You know, make it into what you want to make it into. But you know, think about it practically too. Is it really worth it? Is it something you're really going to use or be able to use? Or is it just going to make it so you lose your license and get a bunch of speeding tickets? There's always that possibility. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, I can't thank you enough for the Office of Donations. Oh, let's touch on one last thing. Sorry, I'm pulling a Columbo on you. And just one more thing. And that's about the lift. I've spoke about this in the Questions May 2000 video that I did, and I said that basically I was holding off on a lift for a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons I'm holding off on it is because in order to put a lift in here, I'm going to have to run electricity to it, and that's going to be 220. I'm not sure how many amps are coming into this building as it is and how it's all set up, but I've got to say that the wiring here was wiring in a place that you would wire a garage. So it's not, I don't believe it's really set up for that. So I'm going to have an electrician come in, look that stuff over. There's also some other issues with the electricity here that I want to address at the same time. So you can't just come in, bolt down a lift. You have to be able to run the electricity to run the motor to run it. And I just want to make sure that I have that. That's like reason number one. Not to mention, the lift is pretty expensive. But here's the real thing. To me, this place is like a palace. I used to drive to people's houses and work on their cars and their driveways when I first started out fixing things. So to work in a place like this is like a dream come true to me. I quite literally do live the dream. Thank you very much, all of you out there watching, because I wouldn't be able to do this without you. But I absolutely love this shop, and I will roll around on the cardboard on this floor all day long just to be here. I consider it a privilege to be here. I really, really like this place. So yes, I'm getting older, and yes, rolling on the ground is not such a great proposition, but also I want you to think about this. Many of you out there watching, how many of you have lifts? Couple? Okay. Well, the majority of you don't. And the fact that I shoot my videos and do my videos rolling around on the ground is a benefit to you, because if I had it up on a lift and I'm breaking something loose or using this tool or that tool, you may not necessarily have that kind of access when you're on the ground. And I might not necessarily know that unless I am on the ground. So in a lot of ways, I am avoiding the whole lift issue because I'm basically trying to be as close to what you would experience as possible. I feel that that's a good way to give information. Now, eventually, will I get a lift? Absolutely. Absolutely. We're just not there yet. And I don't mind taking little baby steps because, once again, I work in a palace. I work in the best place I've ever worked, and I absolutely love it. So thank you, everybody, for those kind gestures. Thank you for those suggestions. However, that's my stance on the lift, and I hope that we can put that issue to bed with this video. Anyway, I am Eric the Car Guy. You can always find me at ericthecarguy.com, including a discussion about this video here under the ETCG1 video discussion section over at the forum. So if you haven't signed up for the forum, it's free to sign up for. Just throw down your email address and we'll let you in and invite you into the talk. And of course, if you have automotive questions, you can type in a couple of keywords into the search function, or you can submit those questions over to the service and repair section forum. That is exactly for that, and a bunch of us will jump in and try to help you out with that. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, you can find me there in addition to the website. And I will close with be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty. I'll catch you next time.